This clip is sponsored by American Mobile. If you're a nurse interested in traveling, visit americanmobile.com to get started. Well, I want to give people kind of an idea of what NurseCon was like. You know, it's a dual experience because you're on vacation, but it's also a conference. You know, you're on a nurse cruise with, 3,000 nurses having a good time. But there's also like opportunities for CNEs and, educational like sessions. And so I wanted to kind of divide this episode into two parts and talk about the conference and talk about the nurse experience.
Great.
So the conference, the conference was 2 days. It was, like the day at sea. So we went to the Bahamas, and the first day we were in Coco Cay, and that's like Royal Caribbean's island. And then we had a day at sea, and then we had a day in Nassau. So like 3 full days, I guess I would say. And so the day at sea was like you had the opportunity. You don't have to go, but like you had the opportunity to go to all of these different things. And we had a full day, like 8 to 5.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't really recommend. I feel like we didn't have any time to I was tired after that day.
Yeah, I didn't have any sun. I'm literally in the middle of the ocean right now, and I haven't seen the light of day at all. I was like, I've just been in the cruise ship the entire time. I did see through the window. Well, we had our room, which obviously was amazing and thankful for that. And then Windjammer, of course, has that's the buffet area. So it had, those windows basically almost floor to ceiling pretty much. And that's the only daylight that I saw almost that whole day. I was like, I have to go outside.
I gotta go to the pool. I'm out. I gotta go to the pool.
Yeah.
And I had to pump every now and then. So Shannon would go out and meet people, go to the hot tub, go to the pool, and I would pump. Yeah. And you met, it was so funny. We ran into Nurse Maddie, who's another Instagram influencer. And she has a podcast, Life in Scrubs. And I met her last year on NurseCon, that first few hours that I was on the ship. And Shan, you could probably tell how you met her.
Yeah, I went into the hot tub and I was just sitting down. She was already talking to somebody else, and then I was kind of talking to somebody else, and then they were saying goodbye. And then it was kind of funny because she's like, "Oh, I'm Maddie," and her boyfriend, I guess, at the time, I think now they're engaged as of the cruise, which is very exciting. At least what I've seen on her Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, I guess the people who she was talking to thought that she said she was Maddie, and then her man was also Maddie or Matt. And I was like, oh, wow. They were like, oh, wow, that'd be funny. And I turned to them and I was like, that would definitely be easy, but an interesting situation, with Matt and Maddie. And she's like, no, his name's really Ryan. I was like, oh, great. And then we just started talking that way. I had no idea that she had a podcast. And so it was really cool to just talk to her organically. And then I remember when I came and told you, I was like, oh, I met 2 people in the pool. And then later,
I was how was the hot tub? She was like, oh, I met a couple. Yeah. I was like, cool.
You're like, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Yeah. She has a podcast, and that's really cool. And we saw her later at the silent disco. Yeah. And that was really fun.
Right. We went to silent disco, and I saw her, and I was about to say hello. And then Shan was like, oh, Maddie. And I was like, what? Yeah. She was like, oh, this is the couple I met the other night. I was like, Maddie was like, Maggie? Yeah, it was great. It was so funny, of all people.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, the cruise ship had so many people on it, but for some reason it also felt small, you could walk down a hallway and recognize somebody, which I really liked. Yeah. And everybody on the trip was so friendly. We're all nurses. We know how to talk to people. So it was really I was never in an area where I felt uncomfortable talking to somebody. Yeah. I thought everybody was relatively inviting, and I just felt it felt like a great experience, honestly. I wish I would have thought about this. I should have just made this up. Hello. It's so obvious. Nurses love to have
millions.
We love to have a great time. You've got your learning aspect of it. You've got your fun aspect. A lot of people just did the fun aspect. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it seemed like everybody was was open and accessible and wanted to like talk to other nurses, and like that was definitely part of the experience to hang out with everybody and like feel as like a one unit.
Right. It's like we all have this shared understanding. And honestly, like, I mean, yeah, a lot of us work 3 days a week. A lot of us work 5 days a week, but like we all have a shared experience and like a shared understanding about what our work life looks like. And clearly we're on the cruise, so we have some similarities in our out of work life. So it was really cool to be able to like already have a lot in common with most of the people that were there on that trip. So that was a nice, like, you know, you already felt almost immediately comfortable being able to bring up anything with these people.
Yeah. And they facilitated those conversations too in the very first day with those meetups.
Oh, what a great idea.
I mean, such a great idea to do in the very beginning of the conference. So they had like all these different specialties. They had like, I don't know, 8 or 9 different areas where people could meet up, and it would be like ER, travel nurses, you know, corrections, it'd be like flight nursing and wound care. Sometimes they would like pair a couple specialties together, but essentially it was just a space where you could be like, I'm a traveler, I want to, you know, see other travelers. And we all met in one area. And so then you could like people with similar interests that are like-minded people. You could immediately, you click with like a whole group of people, and then you see them like, you know, throughout the week.
Yeah, I was pretty intimidated. It was funny. Like when we first saw that there were meetups, I was a little like, okay, what do we talk about? Like, how do I go up to somebody and just start talking? I mean, I do it all the time. It's just, you know, I just wasn't sure what kind of reaction. It was the very first thing that we did on the ship. And so I was nervous, but then we found those 2 seats in this group, and everybody was really great. And it was just so friendly. And then we ended up seeing them like at other points during the cruise, and it was cool.
Yeah, like the whole time you like say hi to people, and I could definitely tell. I mean, the whole point of going on the ship was to like network and like get potential guests for the podcast and like hand out stickers and stuff. And so like we were like, we're going to go to all these different ones and like just like hit a bunch at the same time.
I was like, okay, we were ready.
Like it's go time. Yeah. But I feel like, I mean, that was mixed. Like we stayed at the Traveler one for a while, and we were still able to like network a lot, but also just, you know, talk to people and have fun and like, you know, gain a lot from those relationships just as much as anybody else.
Yeah. And we ended up staying a decent amount at the Traveler one, like to the point where it overlapped with the corrections that was after in the same area. And honestly,
those women are wild.
I was just about to say, I was like, Maggie, you walked right over to those people and you're just like, hey, and chatted with them. Y'all got a picture together. Like it was like a whole nother world. And honestly,
they were immediately a unit. Like,
not
like they were such a strong group of women. It was so, they were so great.
So cohesive. Like all of them, just like no shame, just like, this is me. And like, this is what I'm offering. Like, it was just the coolest experience, honestly. Like it made me kind of want to be a correctional nurse. And I'd never really thought about it before. I'm like, you guys are fun, and I like this. I was like, this seems like a fun community.
Because they probably don't normally work with other nurses. It's probably just like with 1 or 2 nurses, I would think. Probably. You know, for the whole. So like when all of them get together with like a whole group of nurses, like I'm sure it's like when Med Surg nurses get together for dinner, but like if you haven't seen another Med Surg nurse like ever, and like now you're together drinking for a week, you're like, my people.
I was dying. Also, the Med Surg one was pretty wild as well. Which, like, not surprised, you know, coming from that Med Surg background. I'm like, this makes sense. But we're walking down the little promenade, and everybody's yelling in this one bar. I was like, where's the Med Surg one? Bar. Yeah, like, that's where we're headed. And then, of course, that's where it is. Like, everybody, what's your craziest story? You know, just, I mean, there's, like, clearly 2 leaders of the group. And everybody's just yelling and cheering, like, Med Surg, and like just all sorts of things. It was honestly really fun. And that was one of the other places we met some of the people that we had talked to pretty much until literally like the end.